It's mic'd up with Mikie Mahtook. Got the boys in. I got Lloyd. We got J. Mitch. We got Jackie Boy.
He tried to jump up and he might have knocked it in.
Good timing. Let's go. What a start to the Monday. I mean, I'm from Lafayette. My boys will come in and say,
oh, God. So me and Joe on the ground, I got Joe in the headlock. And he's sitting there, he's punching me in the stomach, like, punching me.
Here, is everyone sitting around, who here thinks Ochico can practice today after having 5 full beers? And he goes, Chad Jones, right? Chad's been with the team 6 minutes. For 7 minutes, right? Chad's like, no, man, I don't think Ochico can practice today. And I was like, I look back, I'm like, Jesus Christ. I saw you there. You were more fucked up than me.
On the spirit plane had some issues, I think. She was sleep farting.
you heard her or you just thought it was her?
I sat right next to her. I smelled.
Whoa. What was that?
Time for
Good show.
Now, when you do go to spring training, are you going to bring your chinchilla and your turtle? My dad tell you about it?
The SEC is, God, they hate fat people. I mean, I get crushed for that. You know what I mean? It's like, come on, man.
Hey, just the South, bro. You got a bunch of food down here. Like they should.
Look at Lloyd.
You know what, Lloyd?
You're looking for a recruiting coordinator, coach. I'm here.
He's like, I'll piss my pants right now.
No way.
We're wearing gray pants, long gray pants. He goes, I'll piss my pants right now.
Hello. Welcome back to Mic'd Up. Today is Monday, December 2nd. I've missed everybody.
Yeah.
I've missed Lloyd. I've missed Jared. I've missed all of you. Even though I don't get to see you on a daily basis, we get to talk to you. I feel like we're all friends. Hope everybody had a happy Thanksgiving. We are now in Lloyd's favorite time of the year where Christmas carols are ringing out daily and nightly.
Tell them about it, Lloyd. Tell them about it.
Lloyd, you love Christmas carols. You're listening to them right now in your car?
No.
You got your car back.
I don't. Yeah. Oh, car's back.
Oh, is it does it still not work?
It's no radio now.
Wow. And
And they had no backup screen, which turns out when you get used to it, you feel like you really can't see anything.
And they're not going to help you, huh? Have you talked?
No, I have to talk to the insurance to talk to them, and it's just this whole debacle of. And they're like, there's a chance that he's like, I believe you that it doesn't work, and it worked before it was here. It's like, you're goddamn right, it worked before I was here. Like, this was not part of the problem.
Right.
And so now they're like, well, I believe you. So if you talk to your insurance, we can crack it open. I was like, just give me my goddamn car. I'm leaving. So I might not do anything about it. Got the Bose speaker in there, cuz.
Do you really?
Yeah.
That's incredible. That's incredible. That's like close that's close to you riding with the headphones on too. That's incredible.
You gotta get that fixed, dude.
Thugging and loving it, dude.
You gotta get that fixed. But everybody had a good Thanksgiving, I hope. Did you go back to Alec?
We did. We
you
did.
Back to Alec and came back for the game on Saturday.
Yeah.
Good for you. Great game.
Great game.
Great game.
Most complete game.
Most complete game. We're gonna get into that. Jay, how was your Thanksgiving?
Took a trip on down to Dallas.
Yeah, you were there for a week.
For the week, yeah.
Nice week.
For the week, it was a good week. Came back on Friday morning. Hit the road on Friday morning. Came back. Spent the weekend here. Went to New Iberia, God's country, for Saturday.
The Berry.
Yeah. Good week, man.
Nice.
Good week.
We
a lot of food. Good week.
A lot of food. Went to Lafayette. Came back to Baton Rouge. Did Thanksgiving here. Then took a trip down to the marsh. Went hunting.
Gambling country.
Yeah, gambling country. Listen, the marsh may not. The duck blind may not have been lucky for me when with the ducks flying. We didn't see many birds. Right. Saved money on shotgun shells. That's for sure. Did not shoot the gun many times. So when that happens, you sit down and you try to occupy your time. Luckily, we had some guys in the blind with us, so we're talking, we're drinking, we're having a good time. So I sat down for a nice little 30-minute gambling session. Hey, it was 10 o'clock on a Saturday. I got to place these bets. 11-4 on the weekend. It was a good day, good session. It must have been the nice crisp air.
No distractions.
No distractions. There were some other things that were probably flowing through the system at the time to really keep my mind clear.
Like crisp air, and sunny, and no distractions.
In nature. Anytime you're in nature, it makes
Nature
you better.
versus nurture lodge.
Yeah, it makes you better.
Nature always wins.
Did
my
that.
camera's out.
Came back. Your camera's out?
Yeah.
Don't love that. Came back on Sunday, and now we're back here. We got a lot to talk about. All right, let's go through these Heineken headlines before we get into the meat
And
of the
potatoes.
show. The meat and potatoes of the show. Obviously, LSU finished the season on a high note. 37-17 against Oklahoma. 37 points is the most points Oklahoma has given up all year. So one would look at the team of Oklahoma and say, oh, well, LSU is supposed to beat them. Oklahoma's not that good. Well, the week before, Oklahoma beat Alabama 23-3. Completely dominated them. Scored a defensive touchdown in that game. Scored a defensive touchdown in the LSU game. Their defense is real. Whether you want to look at the records or not, Oklahoma's defense is really good. This was LSU's most complete performance, top to bottom, offensively and defensively, on this team, during the season. Nusmeier obviously goes down, comes back. He's a tough son of a bitch. Comes back in the game, proceeds to throw two 40-plus yard touchdown passes to Chris Hilton. That was great to see. The running game and the passing game complement each other a lot, very well. Nusmeier got through his progressions really well. Checked down to the running backs. I think, what did you say, 45 yards receiving from the running back room. That's a welcome sight. He was making very crisp, decisive throws, on-target throws. Pimpton had a couple big catches. Aaron Anderson did Aaron Anderson things. I mean, he is becoming the most explosive guy on the field, which is nice to see. He's developed into a full-blown wide receiver, not a gimmicky guy. Takes a kickoff return 100 yards. Who's the last person to have a kickoff return for a touchdown?
It would be Palmer.
Trey Palmer. Yep, first touch of his career.
Northwestern State.
First touch of his career.
You could hear the stadium.
Yep. He catches it, returns it for a touchdown, then transfers to Nebraska, now he's in the NFL. But Aaron Anderson does his thing. Obviously looks good doing it. Caden Durham looked really good. Defense looked really good. right? Linebackers and defensive front, I think was probably the biggest highlight of the defense. You had a lot of freshmen, a lot of young guys, and Brian Kelly let you hear about it at the end of the press conference, end of the game, on how many young guys have played and how much they've progressed. Dominic McKinley, big get last year in the recruiting class, comes in there, 4 tackles, 2 sacks. Whitweek's 15 tackles, sack, 2 tackles for a loss. Devon Keys, the other freshman linebacker who has LSU's been playing with 3 linebackers a lot more over the last few games. And so Devon Keys had a lot more playing time. He had 10 tackles, including a sack. He's looked really good. Defense just looked really complete and really good. You had a lot of freshmen, a lot of young guys contribute and make some big-time impact. So moving forward, obviously, I think that's a highlight. We're going to get into that. Signing day is the early signing period is Wednesday, December 4th. It's a 3-day window, so it's really Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. These recruits can sign. A lot of LSU's recruits have come out publicly and said they are sticking with LSU. One of the bigger recruits in Texas basically comes out and I think says some things, and you may think, oh, he's a recruit and he has to say these types of things. He doesn't have to say it. He's not technically at LSU yet. Comes out and basically says, hey, all these guys that are coming here are coming to LSU because they want to be at LSU, not because of a quarterback that committed here, not because of one guy. He said, hey, he's a great guy. It would have been nice to have him. We don't need him. Team is based off 11 guys. It's not based off of one. And I think the bigger point of that is, hey, all that money that we're supposed to be giving him now is being dispersed amongst the recruiting class and the transfer portal, and you're seeing a lot of these guys stay. I wouldn't be shocked to see a couple guys that aren't committed to us maybe commit to us on Wednesday. So should be a fun weekend. LSU basketball. Football season is coming down to an end, especially LSU football. But LSU basketball is kind of just starting. They have a big game tomorrow at home in the PMAC against Florida State, 8 p.m. on ESPN, I think, or ESPN2. Maybe it's SCNR. I don't know. It's on national TV somewhere. I will be in attendance. I'm actually very excited about that, to go watch the basketball game. But check them out, see what happens. College football has been wacky. Wacky weekend. It's been wacky all year. It's been crazy all year. It's been probably one of the most fun college football seasons that I can remember. And this weekend was – and we talked about it last week on Monday, didn't we not? I said, man, this weekend, November 30th, is going to be a weird football weekend. There's a lot of interesting matchups. There's a lot of teams that can go down, and their season could be ruined. Georgia Tech tried to do that on Friday against Georgia, 8 overtimes.
Tried it, too.
They tried.
Whew,
I thought they were going to do it. I thought Georgia Tech was going to beat Georgia. 8 overtimes.
What do you think about the new overtime? It seemed to work in that particular instance, but I feel like they get to it too quickly. Like the 2-point conversion. It's like
I agree with that.
It's after 2 overtimes, right?
Yeah.
The third. I think you should have 3 regular overtimes and then go to it.
Like you want to be like it. This feels like it's let's speed this thing up, and then it feels like you jump into it.
Or
you're all into it.
What if you did
Alternate?
regular overtime for the first 2, then you go up 15 yards.
I think you should start at the 40.
Or maybe,
And then go to the 30.
I think they want to play less football is what they're trying to do.
No. But I'm saying, like, if you go from the 40, like, it's hard to drive 40 yards. So, but if I get 10 or a 9, I kick, we're good. Like, start at the 40. If you got to go into 2, you start at the 30. Got to go into 3, you start at the 20.
Yeah, you move it up.
Keep moving up. You know
I
what
think
I mean?
they should do is it the NFL, I believe? Where you
Is it the NFL?
No, this is college football. You should still have start from the 25, but you have to start going for 2 every time. Instead of just going for 2, instead of just one play.
But I thought that's how they initially started.
Yeah,
right?
that was a good one.
Yeah.
And then Joe Burrow changed the rules because he almost died on the field.
Well, that was a tough one. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of the 2-point conversions because that's just like that's not a play that you do normally in football. Like you have 2-point conversion plays, but like it's a hard thing to do.
I wonder if they did all of that to kind of not have the stats get like super blown out. I mean, obviously, a lot of it has to do with we want to play less football and get off the field. But I just feel like it's so much easier in a way, kind of. Obviously, it gets tight in the red zone, gets tight in there. But, like, I feel like they don't want to see a 5 overtime game where there's that much more stats if it's that much more field.
Right.
And then now these numbers are, like, something crazy that no one else can get to. I wonder if that has, like, anything to do with it.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know that it does. I'm just starting out there.
Yeah, and I don't know, but, like, I think the old overtime rules obviously need to be changed. You don't want to have an LSU A&M thing, 7 overtimes, where they're playing outrageous amounts of football. I understand the point of doing this, but there's got to be like a happy medium, and maybe they do change it. But we shall see.
It was electric.
Michigan beats Ohio State. Ryan Day, hot seat potentially, unless they win a national championship. But they are now they have 2 losses, and they got to go play. They're not playing in the Big Ten championship game. Probably the best thing for them, actually, not to play in the Big Ten championship game because they haven't really been super dominant throughout the course of the year, right? Like, they lost to Oregon. That was obviously Oregon's number 1 team in the country. They lost to Oregon. They beat Indiana, but it was like, they beat them, but it wasn't like a dominant win. I know Indiana's pretty good. And they lose to Michigan. They haven't really done anything to where, like, damn, this team has really done something special. They didn't have to play Penn State. So now Penn State gets...
Who the hell did they play?
Exactly. Penn State played... who did Penn State lose to?
Ohio State.
No, they did. They did play. They beat Ohio State. Ohio State beat them.
But the game of the year.
But really, Penn
Worst
State
football
probably should
game
have beat
I've
them.
watched all year.
Was that?
The worst football game I've
Yeah,
watched
that
all
very
year.
poorly played. But Penn State now gets into the Big Ten championship game against Oregon. If Oregon beats Penn State, does that mean Oregon, Penn State, Ohio State, and Indiana all in the playoff? All
I
4
think
teams?
I think Indiana's in at this point, right?
I think
I
they're
don't
in.
really think you could. If they would have came out and kind of laid an egg and
Right.
still won this week, maybe you
No, I
could have
think they're
said,
in.
"No, I know." But
Yeah.
I'm saying they went out and they dominated this
Right.
week. It's hard for me to believe that you can throw Ohio State in there anywhere like above 10
Right.
and not have Indiana in there as well.
Right. So I think Indiana's in, right? 1 loss. Oregon's in no matter what happens.
Yeah.
Right? They're in.
Penn State's in them.
I guess Penn State's in no matter what because they have what 1 loss right now. Mm-hmm. So if they lose, they'll have 2 losses. Does that knock Ohio State out, or is Ohio State in the game?
So now it's like I think they're in. Now
what
it's
happens
like-
if Clemson beats SMU?
I think now it's I think SMU's not in if Clemson beat, and I think it's going to be some upset people.
Yeah.
I'm wondering
Right.
now, and I think they kind of wanted to have something like this all along. You obviously just couldn't come out and say it, and you thought that the season would play out to where it would look a lot better. But I'm wondering now if you're going to see 8 teams literally featured out of the Big Ten and the SEC, and now that leaves 4 spots for the rest of the
Right.
Like, I'm wondering if that's what's going to happen.
Because here's the deal, right? If you look at the SEC, Tennessee's in,
Yeah.
right? Georgia's in.
The 2 that are in the championship are in. Tennessee's in.
Georgia and Texas are in with Tennessee. They're trying to push Alabama in there,
Yeah.
right? But here's the deal. If something crazy happens, I think really the only team in a championship game that can steal a bid is Clemson, right? Like,
Well, if you win your
Well, I guess-
conference,
I know, but like Clemson's not in as of now, right? If they
Yeah, but
go
if they win, they're in. You know
if they
who's
win-
going to be bad? You know who's going to be mad as hell when they're in? They go out and win the ACC championship, and everybody in South Carolina going to be like, wait, so they are a
yeah,
top 4
Right.
possibly rated
Right.
team, seeded team, and
Right.
we sitting at the
No
crib
doubt.
going to the Meineke
doubt.
Car
the
Care
fucking
Bowl.
bowl, after we just beat them.
They're going to be salty.
no doubt.
Because that's the team that's probably playing the best football right now.
They're
Nobody
scary.
wants to play
They're
South
scary.
Carolina.
Nobody wants to play them right
Nobody
now.
wants to play
you
South
got a
Carolina right
240-pound quarterback kind of doing what he wants. The defense is aging,
Yep.
and there's some dogs and some really good young players on that team. Nobody wants to see
And
them
you got
right
some
now.
big-time playmakers on the outside
Nobody
there,
wants
too.
to see them right now.
No. And, I mean, look, they've beaten some really good teams. They just beat Clemson. Clemson's obviously in the ACC championship game. If they go and beat SMU, I think you're right. SMU is out. If they lose, obviously Clemson's out, SMU's in. I don't know, man, because they're trying really hard to put Alabama in the mix. Because Alabama right now, as of now, if it ended today without the championship games, Alabama's in. So
It'll be interesting tomorrow
Yeah.
because we'll get a chance to see where they're seeding people, and that'll give you kind of an idea of what they're trying to do in terms of what happens next week and who goes where and who's in and who's out. So tomorrow will be interesting when they put this thing together.
yeah, no doubt, it's going to be a lot of angry people because tomorrow is pretty much the deal, right?
Yeah.
Like tomorrow, whoever they put in the playoffs tomorrow is basically who's going to be in the playoffs. I think it's going to be a seeding thing after the championship weekend. You may have 1 or 2 spots that change, but for the most part, that is who it is. And there's going to be a lot of upset people, which we all knew was going to happen. But it's been fun to watch. We're watching this right now.
I mean,
Alabama has a 30% chance of making it. If SMU wins, goes up to 37%. Miami 24%. If SMU is 23%. So Alabama, out of those three teams, has the best percentage of making it. If SMU wins the title.
whatever. Really big, huge fumble by LSU to lose to Florida.
Because they'd have been in the championship game.
And A&M.
Is Florida the biggest fumble, or is
A&M
USC the
is.
biggest fumble?
USC? Do you think
Is
that they
A&M
would...
the biggest fumble, or is...
So I think A&M was the biggest fumble only because they'd be in the championship game.
I think one. That's two.
Yeah.
You could say USC. It's early on, but that win would have. You look at it now. That win doesn't have that much weight because of what they've done this year. Because of where you were at halftime and how you were absolutely smashing them in the first half of that game, losing to A&M, I think, is the biggest fumble.
Yeah, because if you beat USC, right, you are and you lose the 3 games that you lost after USC, you're in the same position. You're out of the playoff. You're just ranked in the top 25, but you're out of the playoffs. You're in the same position as Ole Miss, same position as South Carolina. Not really Alabama, because Alabama has a chance to get in there. So I think that A&M game is the biggest fumble for LSU, because now we talked about it, it's like, oh, it's not that far-fetched for them to make that. They would have been in it. Mm-hmm. Them in Georgia. No, them in Texas.
Bigger fumble from two programs' perspective. The LSU A&M loss, or LSU South Carolina blowing a 17-point lead to LSU at home.
I can't.
I think it's the LSU. I mean, look, you can say 17-point lead, but nobody. I don't think anybody before the season. I don't think anybody at that point ever thought South Carolina would be a player in this opportunity.
Right.
So I just don't see it as big, if you want to call it. There's not many people that obviously thought LSU was going to be in this thing. But I think if you look at it on the grand scheme of things and where these teams have been and what these teams have done and the history of them, I think you sit here and say, if I had to blindly choose one at the beginning of the year and or going into that game, you think LSU's going to be the one that's a better team or more of a chance.
It was too early in the year for South Carolina to have a fumble.
Yeah.
Right? Like, damn, South Carolina's scrappy. They're gonna because they fumbled against, if you want to call that a fumble, they fumbled against Alabama too. You know what I mean? So like, they I don't think anybody outside of that locker room believed that South Carolina was going to be the team they are right now, other than the coaching staff and the players, right? Because like, they've seen them, they know how talented they were. If they could figure it out, if Lenore Sellers continue to figure it out, which he has, they obviously they're going to be really good next year if they can keep those guys from transferring. But yeah, LSU
That's
had
crazy. That's crazy. You even have to have that conversation. You have to put that last little part of the sentence.
I know, because it's true.
But it's real.
Those guys can get offered a lot of money.
But it's real.
A lot of money.
Yeah.
But look, honestly, it feels like most of those guys, if not all of those guys, are going to stay. South Carolina will figure out a way. I mean, they saw, hey, 9-3, we got all these guys coming back. Let's go ahead and just throw some money out at these guys, and let's try to keep them here because we have an actual chance to make some splash. And I think based off of what you're seeing this year in college football, I think that's even more incentive for South Carolina to pour some money into these guys because of how crazy this playoff this season was. Yeah. Like, hey, we almost made it this year. We weren't even trying, basically. Like, we didn't even know we were gonna have a chance to make it. Now we right there on the cusp.
Yeah.
So, it's gonna be interesting to see how that happens. It's also gonna be interesting to see what happens at LSU. If you listen to Brian Kelly's press conference at the end of the game, we'll talk about the game a little bit too. Because it was a game worth talking about. I think that there was a lot of really positive things about this game, and I think the most positive thing about the game was the fact that the last 2 games of the season, after they fumbled against Florida and lost their opportunity to make it to playoffs, they come back 2 games in a row against Vanderbilt, who's scrappy. Obviously, Vanderbilt has been playing a lot of teams tough. They go out and they get that win. All they need to do is get that win to just kind of get off of that 3-game losing streak and kind of like silence the noise. And you got Oklahoma coming into your place, last game of the season. They just beat Alabama. They're trying to, kind of make a name for themselves and try to continue a positive end to their season. And you go out there and you absolutely dominate a really good defense. I think that's the most impressive thing that you can hang your hat on going into the offseason is these guys didn't quit. In a day and age of college football where it's easy to say, I'm good. I'm either going to transfer, I'm going to go out in the draft. I ain't worried about it. I'm good. it was impressive to see those guys drive around and play really good football.
I think the transfer part, I mean, look, don't get me wrong. Those guys that are going into the draft or that are thinking about going into the draft, they're going to come there and
play
put
hard.
their best on tape.
Right.
Because you can't lose that opportunity. It's another job interview where you get a chance to kind of put what you got out there on tape. The ones that are possibly that you think got more time left that could possibly be transferring, let's just say anybody that's an underclassman that you know for sure is coming back. Having those guys go out there and play the way they did and play hard, that's the shit that matters because that right there shows you they're still invested. There's a very good possibility that they're still strongly going to be here. And if you can build with guys to play like that against a team that's been widely regarded as one of the better defenses in the SEC this year, that shows you a lot right there.
Listen, we saw what Milroe did to us.
Yeah.
We've seen what we saw what Milroe did to Georgia. Georgia's a really good defense. Then you saw what Milroe did against Oklahoma. He did nothing. Threw interceptions, turned the ball over, couldn't run the football, and Oklahoma beat them 23-3. They did not score a touchdown. It was probably the most dominant, or the worst loss Alabama's had in 20 years. Not even, maybe less than that, 18 years since Saban got there.
Since UL Monroe.
Since the UL Monroe game, right? Like
I think this one was like kind of worse, man. Like they weren't even in that game.
Not even close.
They weren't even in that game.
You had one opportunity to get in the game. It was a bad call by the ref, but it doesn't matter. You're still down 7. You're down 24-3 or 23-3 at that time. And so they're coming off that game. So it was a big game against a big defense, and I think you saw a lot of fight in this team. And then that leads me to talk about kind of what you got going into next year. We talked about the future. Brian Kelly talked a lot about the future of LSU football and what it looks like and how bright it is. And you can look at that and listen to that press conference and say, oh, this is coach speak, and he's got to do this, and he's got to say those types of things. But I think if you listen to what he says and you go watch the tape, especially the back half of the season, especially after that Alabama game and kind of like who has played and kind of who's made some noise, he's not lying, right? All these freshmen that weren't quite ready to play early on, that were pretty high recruits, really started to come on late. Devon Key started playing a lot more because they went to a 3 linebacker set, and that made a huge difference. Yeah. You saw you saw the defense play a little bit more solid in those games, right? You've had Dominic McKinley start to come on, and he's a guy that has to be good. He was a 5-star guy at Acadiana. He was kind of raw, needed to be developed. He had 2 sacks in the last game of the season against Oklahoma. I know it's against Oklahoma, but still, he's starting to come on, right? You have Ahmad Bro, freshman defensive tackle, played really well all year. He's there, right? You have
Don McKinley.
Well, I already said Don McKinley. You have Relaford, who has been playing better as of late, right? He's been coming on. So that's a defensive front that you can pretty much hang your hat on and say these guys are going to be back. Plus, you get Guillory back, right? Who's coming back. Hopefully you get Harold Perkins back. Now you got a stable of 4 linebackers and 4 or 5 defensive linemen that have been there, plus the guys that you got coming in, plus the secondary class you have. Like, you're starting to see the roster shape up, and you're starting to see them year after year stack the talent and give you some depth.
You got a lot of younger guys who were able to get valuable time, especially towards the back end of the season. That's going to mean a lot to them for their own growth and maturation, but it's going to mean a lot for this next version of the team in 2025 when we thought this year was a must-win type of year, and I'm not going to sit here and say it's not. But I'd be damned if you're not going to sit here and say next year's not. You can't sit here and miss a playoff situation 2 years in a row.
Right.
So next year is uber important, and to be able to have that many young guys with valuable snaps and have that kind of experience to them, it's going to weigh so heavily to them next year in their development and their growth and how they attack the offseason and understanding what they need to do and understanding how to help even other young guys come along even more.
And that gives them an opportunity not to go out in the portal and be forced to go out and find all of these starters, right?
Well, first off, I'm gonna be honest with you. I think the portal's super important.
No. I'm gonna get there.
I won't say all the starters, but they need,
no doubt,
the topping off has to be real.
100%, and that's what I'm getting at. It's a topping off.
Yeah.
It's, hey, we're gonna go get 3 or 4 guys out the portal that are gonna be day one starters and be impact players for us. Whereas sometimes in the past you have these young guys that don't develop. Now you got to go get 6 or 7, 8 guys to go out there and say, okay, now we got to go and redo this again and bring in these transfer guys and portal guys. And I don't think it doesn't work that way. This offseason, you don't have to do that. All you got to do is go out and get 3 or 4 guys that you can plug in and play, because I think you're going to have more guys, and Brian Kelly said this too, I think you're going to have more guys come back that maybe you thought were going to go into the draft than expected. Obviously, Will Campbell's gone, right? As he should be. He's probably the only guy in that group of guys that is eligible to come back that should go. Like, lock the door. You're not allowed to come back in the facility. Here's your plane ticket. Here are your bags. Go ahead and get out of here because you've earned it, right? Now, Emory Jones potentially could come back. Mason Taylor potentially could come back. I know everybody's worried about Harold Perkins, but I think he could potentially come back, right? C.J. Daniels already coming back, right? Now you have Aaron Anderson who'll be back. Hopefully Chris Hilton doesn't transfer, right? Which I think this last game is one of those things that, hey, look at what you can do when you're on the field and you're bought into this thing. So now you got 3 wide receivers plus potentially your tight end back. And if Emory Jones comes back, now you have a 4th-year starter at offensive line who's an All-American.
And why would Chris Hilton want to leave when he's in a very strong relationship at the moment? You don't want to make that thing long distance if it doesn't have to be.
Is he in a strong relationship?
With Flagey.
I didn't know that.
Super babies.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow. Good to know.
Yeah, so maybe that helps.
Maybe that does help.
I don't mean anything by it. I hope that relationship keeps going. I just think
3 and 4.
And I'm not. Look,
No. I'm just saying these young kids. If he leaves, he ain't leaving for free.
Right, of course.
She ain't here for free right now.
Right.
They got ways of finding and being able to see each other. I think they would explore those.
Yeah, no
That's
doubt.
all I'm saying.
No doubt. Look,
That's all I'm saying.
I'm not trying to throw up rainbows out here. Like, I'm not just trying to say, oh, everything's all fine and dandy, because 8-4 is not the season you want. And there's a lot of pressure next year to go out and be in the playoffs. Go 10-2. But with the guys that you have coming back and the youth you have on the team and the talent you're bringing in, I think that makes a big difference. And I think you're going to see a different team next year. I mean, I'm interested to see what happens on signing day, on what guys we get that aren't currently committed to us.
I don't know if you get any surprises that aren't currently committed. I've heard rumors of that they're working on a flip from somebody from Florida, or I don't know, SEC.
What about the guy that came for the offensive tackle that came from on his visit to LSU this weekend or last weekend? Solomon Thomas, that you said that wasn't his name, but that is his name.
Yeah. There's a couple out there, but I think people are more concerned about keeping the class together, and you've started to see that happen over the last few days, where people are like, "I'm signing." And I don't think after you say something like that, they've already pretty much put pen to paper.
Well, and here's the deal: they're signing, and they're going to enroll early. The
right.
Majority of that class is getting to school. I think what he said, 16 of them are going to be early enrollees. Like, that's a huge. I mean, you did it. You had no. You didn't enroll early, but you were at football and you had to learn a playbook and you had to learn different stuff, and you didn't enroll early. How much more of an advantage is it to get there early and say, okay, hey, I don't have to worry about playing or getting ready for the game until next year, but I got January, February, March, April, May, summer workouts to kind of get acclimated to the team and understand how everything works before I'm trying to fight for a position.
I mean, it helps a lot. Just in the sense that you got to think of it this way. Like, it doesn't matter if you're switching positions or if you're coming here to play the same position that you played. Everything gets a little more intricate. Everything gets a little more complicated. So to be able to come here and basically have your install, if you will, be the spring practices and not the fall practices, and now you can play at a different speed in the fall because you learned in the spring and you had a little bit more time throughout the rest of the summer to get acclimated to that playbook and learn stuff and ask questions and go over stuff, maybe even walk through more stuff. That shit helps a ton in terms of being able to kind of get to the fall and be able to hit the ground with your feet going already. So it does help a lot to come here in the spring.
Oh, I mean, you saw it with Will Campbell and Emory Jones. They both were obviously going to be your starting left and right tackle, but Will Campbell enrolled early, and he was able to start from day one. Yeah. Emory Jones, it took 2 weeks for him to be able to get solidified as your right tackle, right guard, wherever they wanted to put him. But that was because Will Campbell was allowed to enroll early, and at where you go to Catholic, they don't allow you to enroll early.
No. Who went to Catholic?
Emory Jones.
Yeah.
Oh, Emory Jones went to Catholic High?
I think so.
I believe so.
I might be wrong.
Oh, I think
but,
you may be right.
Yeah, but he went to a school. Yeah, he went to a school that doesn't allow you to enroll early. Like some high schools just don't let you.
Right.
And that's the whole
Well, that's what
debacle with
Jakeem
Team
Stewart,
where you couldn't even reclassify.
Well, you say a surprise. I don't think that would necessarily be a surprise, but last week it would have been a surprise for him to sign with LSU.
Who?
Right? Because everybody was saying he was going to USC, Jakeem Stewart, and then he said, I ain't going on the last visit to USC. I'm just going to stay at home in New Orleans. And it seems like he's going to sign with LSU now, too.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like that's what should happen, but it could be also be after the Underwood situation. It's impossible. It's impossible to say because there was nobody that was closer to the finish line and felt like was as solid a commitment as Bryce Underwood was until.
Well, listen, I don't, and like maybe
USC can change the game if they want.
Maybe they do offer Jakeem Stewart $12 million. I don't think they're going to offer. I mean,
they could.
$6 million, they could. I don't know if they're going to do it. It's how much sleep you think these coaches are getting? Like, it's a whole different
bro.
Monday, Tuesday, and you got Wednesday. Like these guys are not sleeping.
It's never gonna change either, because this is what people don't understand is like you legitimately let the toothpaste out of the tube, and you're gonna try to squeeze some of it back in there by putting the salary cap when they implement that whole system. But these kids already know, these people already know how much money is actually available, right? So with that being the case is. Somebody's going to say, well, they're giving me this and their cap is this and they're doing this. And somebody's going to say, well, we can give you a little bit more or we can find ways to get that money just like they did before all of this stuff, the NIL stuff came about. So, like, this is never going to end as an arms race of who's going to be able to front the most money, and that just depends on whether it's coming over the table or possibly
under the table. But I think out of this recruiting class, right, like it feels like you said, you don't know. It feels like they're going to stay. I think they're ranked 6th in the country right now, even without Underwood. It feels like they're going to stay intact. Pickett has come out and said that he's basically committed. Like, he's committed to Corey Raymond. He wants to be developed. His dad has said he wants to be developed by the best. That's where he's going to be. This cornerbacks class has been widely regarded as one of the best maybe ever to come through LSU. I think majority of those cornerbacks are enrolling early. I don't know if Anning's coming early. But I think Cade Phillips and DJ Pickett are both enrolling in school early. And in that position with those guys, I think that's super important because now you have more reps. I wonder if they're going to be able to have some bowl prep with these guys. I don't think they're obviously not going to play and they can't play in the bowl game. But, I think that the more reps they get, the earlier they get them, the better they're going to be when the season starts.
I mean, you got to imagine, too, like just being able to come here and kind of get here early and see this thing at another speed. Not one guy, not maybe two guys. Literally everyone that you play against is that much more physical and or that much better or that much more technical, whatever it is, right? To be able to see it and then understand who you are, where you are, and where you need to be when you go into the summer. Going through the summer months, going through and before you get to camp, it gives you that much more of a leg up. You got to remember, a lot of these guys, it doesn't matter where they came from, may have come and been the absolute best player where they were. Never seen anyone as good as them until they step foot here.
Yep.
Well, if you're getting 6 months more to actually prepare yourself to get to that next spot over the next guy, yeah, you can possibly be at a much better spot just because you're here earlier.
And I guess I can relate this to when you come here to play baseball, right? So when you play baseball, it doesn't start till the spring. So when you show up in the fall semester, and that's your first semester. And so you get fall practice. You get an opportunity to understand what the team is expecting from you. You kind of understand the routine that you need to be in as far as going to class, going to practice. How does everybody kind of act and respond to different things? What's the vibe of the coaching staff? Kind of get your feet wet and get comfortable. And then you get 3 months, 2-3 months of practicing against the competition that you've probably never seen on a consistent basis. And so you get that time, and then you get a little break to kind of understand, okay, this is what I saw. This is what I need to do to get better. And get ready for the spring, and then come in the spring, and now you have an opportunity to. And so I think that's important, especially for positions of cornerback, and that are going to be very highly competitive and very hard to play.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's what I got on that. What do you think, Lloyd?
Well, I was just going through some on-3 from Shea Dixon as he's kind of breaking it down through commitments from each state and who to watch. Obviously, very much in the news as of recently is Keelan Moses, who took a visit to Texas A&M. he said he's meeting with LSU today, and we'll have a decision about tomorrow. But there was rumors of him pushing his commitment date back to not be in the early signing period. So obviously it's coming down between LSU and it feels like Texas A&M, as he's on Twitter with it, saying, "Oh, I see who the real ones are," which is always something that happens.
Yeah, but what does that mean?
Like, LSU fans showing their true colors of being absolutely just horrible fans and people and saying nonsense.
Yeah, but like, okay,
doesn't help
like,
anybody
I understand.
at all.
I understand everybody's like sensitive in those situations, but like, what did you expect? You've been the most vocal person of this whole entire recruiting class about trying to get everybody there, and now you're going like.
Well, hell, if he got everybody here and he doesn't come, that's his decision. But he did a lot of the heavy lifting. But so he's on somebody to keep an eye on. The other from Texas, obviously, Cade Phillips is somebody to watch with LSU, as they flipped him from Texas, and Texas is obviously not going to let up on a 5-star corner. Keep going down the list. Another person to watch is obviously DJ Pickett, 5-star plus corner that was on campus with his father, like he went through, but they are not letting him go easily into the night.
No doubt, and they're not going to, right? But like, it feels like all those guys have come out and said, and you don't know, right? Recruiting's wild, you don't know. But it feels like they've all have come out there and said that they're going to be at LSU. And, those guys in particular, you have an opportunity to, one, get coached up by a guy who's got as good of a coaching resume as there is in the cornerback room, right? And you have an opportunity right now to go out and play day one in the best conference and at LSU.
Well, let's make no mistake about it. Every single one of them dudes being recruited right now is being told,
no doubt,
you have an opportunity to go play day one. So they all kind of think
no
that,
doubt.
which is fine. You should be thinking that. I would actually want every player coming in thinking that. I want you to compete like that. I want you to believe you are that. So that's part of it is. But like you said, the opportunity to work with someone like Corey Raymond, the opportunity to understand who he's worked with, the connections he has, the network he has, and his actual ability to coach the position, it's a hard one to pass up, especially if you're not getting something that's so mind-blowing monetarily. It's hard for me to believe that those guys would pass that opportunity up.
Right, 100%. And, we'll see. I think the bigger thing outside the recruiting class is who they can get in the portal and who they can get coming back.
Yeah.
And who they're going to lose in the portal.
And who they're going to lose.
Because that's been a lot of the conversation.
Ricky Collins, first one to leave. I think that was, you saw the writing on the wall there. You kind of figured he was going to go. Feels like Colin Hurley's going to, if Nuss comes back, Colin Hurley's going to be the backup. That's kind of what.
AJ Swan could come back for another year.
Yeah, I guess he could.
After you saw he put on a sterling performance in his limited action against Oklahoma, as probably the best thing that could have happened for Nusmeier, or for the fan base, really, to see, let's see what the grass looks like on the other side of the fence. It's not that green, is it? Whenever you had a pretty good lawn in your own front yard. So for Nusmeier to be able to...
But the lawn's pretty damn good, been pretty damn good all year anyway.
I don't know.
11 interceptions. Obviously, you don't want him to do that.
He's got 11 starts too.
Right.
So, like,
exactly.
What we're talking about here.
Exactly. Right. And so you have
in his college career, people truly discount. Like
just because he's been here,
Mikey. Just think about it, man.
Right.
Like this is what people forget, and people don't. I won't say forget.
Third highest passing season in the history of LSU, behind Joe Burrow, Jaden Daniels,
behind 2 Heisman winning seasons,
and now obviously down the rushing yards. They play in the bowl game. He's going to surpass Jaden Daniels.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this,
the
too.
second most yards in a season in LSU history as his first year starter.
Without one receiver that has 1,000 yards receiving.
Let me just throw this on you too, because people don't understand. I get it, man. People expect it because he's been in the program for, what is this, 4 years now? This is his 4th year in the program?
Yeah.
He's been in the program for 4 years. He's been watching these guys in front of him. He's had a chance to run this stuff that they expected it to be. As soon as you get out there, it's hit the ground running as if like it's playing high school ball again. It's not that easy, and it doesn't matter how much you do something in practice and or see it on film. It's way different when you get real game time reps and get an opportunity to, hey, this is what I thought I saw, and then the eye in the sky that we watched on the day after the game, it wasn't that. Just like when you're in the box and you thought that pitch was a little bit off, and then the eye in the sky showed you that shit was right on the corner.
Yeah.
And I should probably shut up and not say something to the ump, right? Like that's how this thing goes, and it takes time. It takes actual reps for you to understand that. And those game reps he's getting now, he will be much better because of his opportunity to get to play this year.
And listen to me. Were there things that he did that he could get better on? Absolutely. It's his first time starting in the SEC for a full season, ever. Right? He didn't have one start. His only start was in a bowl game against was it Wisconsin?
Not an SEC school.
Not an SEC school, right? He has a 63 let's just round up to 64% completion percentage. He has 26 passing touchdowns and 11 interceptions, right? Yeah, the 11 interceptions, you'd like to see him cut that in half. But 11 interceptions isn't like he's throwing the ball to the other team all the time. He had 3 bad games, right? He took some sacks, a couple bad turnovers. I get all of that. But your first year starting in the best conference in college football and you do that, that's a pretty good year. If we'd have taken that year every single year before Joe Burrow and JJ.
Y'all forgot who LSU was?
Time out. Let's be honest. If I blindly just gave you those stats, those 12-game stats, didn't tell you what the win-loss record was, didn't tell you what kind of defense we got, you would still sit here and say, shit, I'm okay with it. We got a chance.
Yeah.
You would still say that. You'd say the picks are a little much, but you'd be like, we still probably got a chance. So to sit here and say that he shouldn't be the quarterback is crazy to me. That's crazy talk to me.
Yeah.
I like where he is. I like what his opportunity is going forward and the outlook of who he can grow into being. And I hope he chooses to come back because it's not for me. It's not me trying to plug LSU. I do think this is the best for him because I do think going into the league, man, it's tough for those guys, and the stats are out there that don't have a ton of starts in college and what they turn out to be. So I hope.
Listen, the best thing for LSU and the future of LSU is all these guys. Because listen, you saw this happen year after year with Alabama, right? Like, I remember having conversations on our show. I've had conversations with people outside the show. How come Alabama has all these talented guys, and how does Alabama get these guys to come back to school, and all of our juniors and all these guys end up going to the draft even though they're not first, second rounders? Because they felt like they were going to get developed for another year under Saban, and they were going to be able to come back and they were going to be able to up their draft stock or have a chance to win a national championship, right? But by doing that, Nick Saban had a stable of upperclassmen and talented guys that were coming back, and so the underclassmen did not have to get rushed into these key spots, and they're able to just kind of develop at the rate that they need to develop at. So if LSU is able to get these guys to come back, like is being rumored to happen, you get Nuss back, you get Mason Taylor back, you get Emory Jones back, you get C.J. Daniels back, you get
Joe Sloan back.
Your boy John Emery.
That's right.
Coming back for 7th year.
He's in the lab, coach. I see him working out every day on Instagram.
You have all these guys coming back, plus you got Harold Perkins coming back, plus you got Guillory coming back. Like, you have now a good mix of talented upperclassmen with talented underclassmen who've already kind of proven themselves or starting to prove themselves with a really talented recruiting class, and that's how you sustain it and build it for the long term. And that's something that we haven't had at LSU in a long time. We haven't had guys turn the draft down and come back to LSU and say, I want to be here for another year and to keep developing. And I think that's a credit to the coaching staff that they've put in place behind Brian Kelly. Last year, they weren't. We talked about, Makai Wingo, those guys, they ain't coming back because they hated the defensive coordinator. They hated
House.
They didn't have a defensive line coach.
I just want to put this into perspective because people, once again, I want to touch on that for people to understand when it comes to Nuss. Just please understand this. Can any of y'all, so Nuss threw this year for more yards or is going to throw for more yards than Jaden Daniels did in his Heisman winning season. I get it. That's not all Jaden did. He runs the ball as well very effectively, right? Yeah. That's fair. Can anybody tell me how many starts Jaden had going into the start of last year as a college quarterback?
30?
43. As a college quarterback.
Oh yeah. Before he got to
Arizona State.
Hey, you want to know the craziest?
I was thinking I forgot his first year.
You want to know the craziest part about it too? Because people forget this. He also has some dogs that he threw to at Arizona State. Brandon Ayuk at one point in his career there. Ricky Pearsall at one point of his career there. Those are 2 future first rounders.
Yeah.
He had 2 future first rounders that he threw to this year. I'm not saying shit about the guys that are on this team right now for LSU, but like you said, nobody's got 1,000 yards. Do we know that any of them are future first rounders right now?
No.
I'm not saying that they can't be, but do we know that right now? We don't. So back off the Nuss conversation real quick.
No doubt.
And understand where he is and where he's going and what he's been able to accomplish in those first 11 to 12. I think maybe at this point now 13 because it's been 12 games.
And I think another big bright spot is obviously Caden Dermer averaged 5.5 yards a carry this year.
Yeah. As a true freshman.
And look,
in
Josh
this league.
Williams, you can say what you want about Josh Williams. He averaged 4.1 yards a carry. Like that, with those two guys being your lead backs, like that's not a bad deal to have.
One has to leave.
Right? Obviously. But you got John Emery, who averaged, he had 10 carries for 61 yards.
Averaged 6.3 yards a carry.
Yep, it was great.
Well, that's the real conversation.
And you got two really good running backs coming in, too.
And that's where I think there might be an odd man out in the running back room. You saw Landon Abieta already hit the transfer portal, an LSU wide receiver that was never really was able to get on the field, but
talked about a lot
in
the spring.
He was. Vince Papali out there running a lot with the second team. But he has now hit the transfer portal. Obviously, Ricky Collins. I think that with how much is being purported that you're going to see a pretty big shakeup of LSU adding an influx of talent into the portal and how much they could possibly be losing to the portal. It makes me wonder if it's one Caleb Jackson might be entertaining an offer because
potentially
he didn't really get to do anything this
year.
Do
we think he gained a little bit too much weight?
I don't.
No.
And the only reason I'm gonna say no is simply because of how much
bad weight.
No. The only reason I'm gonna say no is simply because of how much data they have. Right? They wear those catapult systems. They know they track these players and they track everything that they do. They can see that there's no dip in the speed, there's no dip in the burst, there's no dip in all this stuff. So if he's been able to maintain that, one would only say that, well, he's able to play at this weight.
Right.
So I don't think that it's the weight thing. Just for whatever reason, that was one that we missed on.
Yeah,
I won't say missed on.
Right.
We just didn't see this year going the way it did for him.
Yeah, and look, potentially part of it maybe because, listen, when you're not comfortable maybe in the role or doing the things that you're asked to do, you start thinking a lot, and you start trying to make sure you're doing the right things at the right time, and doing everything perfect, and that makes you play a little slower sometimes. And sometimes it felt like he was trying to feel for it instead of going after it and being able to play on instincts. And I think that has something to do with it too. But yeah, I mean, he may transfer. I hope he doesn't. But, it wouldn't shock me if he does.
No, because I think it's because I don't want to see him leave.
Who else do you think we can see leaving the portal?
Sheldon Sampson.
Oh, yeah. Well,
I think he was probably
I think that's a given.
Womack. Defensive end.
Yeah.
I think I could see him in the portal.
People are gonna make a big deal about that one.
It just doesn't seem like there's a disconnect somewhere
That's what
between
I mean.
the staff.
I don't make a big deal about. Kid's probably super talented. Is super talented.
He is. Every time he plays, he does something.
But I'm not gonna put a big. I trust whatever that disconnect is. I trust. It's probably.
We talked about it pre-show, and you saw the numbers of what this defense was able to do, even though I get it, it's not a top 20 defense in the country, what this defense was able to do compared to what they did last year. I trust that the decisions made and who to play were a lot of the right ones. And look, you're not going to hit on all of them. We sit here and we watch, he couldn't get on the field here, but I'd say Jack Best is having a damn good year at TCU, ain't he?
Yep.
He's contributing somewhere else. So, you're not going to hit on all of them. There may not be snaps for all of them. So, I'm not going to sit here and say he won't go somewhere else and do something. It just seemed like he wasn't able to fit in here.
Right.
For whatever that reason is.
Right. And look, that happens. And maybe I hope he goes out there and plays well somewhere. I hope it's not
I hope
the
he
SEC.
stays.
Or hope he stays. You're right. Hope he stays.
But these are I have no information on this. These
These are guys that you just based off of what happened this year. And, what you could expect.
Until Saturday, I was almost in the camp that it felt like Pipton was, and maybe Chris Hilton. I don't know.
I felt Chris Hilton was going to transfer too, but
I think that he just feels like it's just because he hasn't, been healthy or what have you. I don't know where.
I think it's more the dad situation. The dad's been very vocal. I'm not saying it's
oh yeah, he has.
You know what I mean? And I just sometimes when that happens, maybe they want him to get out, but maybe not. Maybe they don't want to leave.
No, but I could see you start looking around the depth at some of the positions and people that are coming in. That's why I think Caleb Jackson comes to mind. Womack comes to mind just because of the situation.
Okay, so we need a bruiser next year.
At back?
You need a big back.
Well, you have one.
Who?
The thing,
I guess
Caleb Jackson.
yeah, but the thing is, you got to think about it too. Like when it comes to
because Harlem Berry is electric, but he's
Reggie.
he's a smaller guy.
yeah, but here's the thing: you got to think. I guess when you, in terms of thinking about who may be exiting and who may be leaving, you have to think about it in a sense of, all right, a lot of these teams are probably going to look at it in a sense of like who came in, who was highly touted, who's not playing, and why.
Right.
If they're not bad people, if we can do some intel and figure out who they are that's not bad people, why are they not playing? And you would imagine that they maybe try to poach those kind of guys. So this would make sense when you're looking at who they are, how they came in here, and the amount of playing time that they're not getting right now. It would make sense as to this could be a potential one that may leave.
Yeah, I mean, you'd almost think Toviano also.
That's another one. I mean, he hasn't gotten in at all.
No, I mean, he's played a little bit, but not. I mean, he basically started the last 3 games for you his freshman year, and then like a little situation happened. Obviously, he was cleared because he's able to play, and it just never really felt like it kind of connected again. I'm just looking down the. Jawan Johnson also feels iffy.
I think Jawan Johnson makes in the offseason, tries to make the move to receiver in the offseason.
Or corner.
Go back to corner, you think?
It depends on
I
how
just
they.
think the guy needs the ball in his hands.
I think he needs the ball in his hands, man. I like to see.
And look, he doesn't profile to me as a running back.
No, they'd put him in a situation where you needed
Easier. And
Yeah.
Jared made a good point. Running back, if you're going to do it midseason, make a position change from the defensive side to the offensive side, you ain't going to receiver. There's too many things that you got to figure out.
Here's the thing too. Like this is a weird part of it, but I don't know how many guys go from quarterback to running back, and it's not so much of the ball carrying part of it, even though that's what you want him to be able to do. Is how is he really going to stick his nose in there in the pass protection stuff?
Right.
So like that's the part that makes it very iffy. I just don't know.
And look, you could if he's that explosive.
I like to see him with the ball in his hands.
Yeah, if he's that explosive, use him. Kind of like you've used Xavier Thomas, but a little bit more in the passing game, right? Like motion him out the backfield, run routes out the backfield, motion him to wide receiver. But you can't. That's hard. You can't teach this guy to do it midseason. So maybe in the offseason, they say, all right, you're gonna go and you're gonna be a wide receiver, and we're gonna have packages for you, and we're gonna teach you, and you're gonna learn how to do it because you're athletic.
Yeah, that's one that it'll be interesting to watch. Because he's so damn talented, man.
Yeah.
Because of his ability, because of what he can do with the ball, it's so hard to just say, let's put him on the other side of the ball. But if they can find a way to get him up to speed, to get him comfortable, to get him in a spot where they can start finding multiple ways to get him the football, this offseason I think is huge for him. And here's another reason why I think he's staying, because I think for him, knowing that there was a position change from where he was in high school and what he did, going to another school only puts him behind the 8 ball that much more. Because now you got to go learn another offense. Now you got to go learn another
position.
You never know. You don't know what that opportunity truly is, right? You can look at it here and sit here and say, well, they told me I was going to do this and they told me I was going to do that, and I came here and then it was what it was. Well, how you know it's not going to be the same when the next place you go? So, like, it makes it hard if you're not about looking for just money and you're actually about progressing and becoming better. If you made the choice here for someone like him, it makes it hard to sit here and say, I'm going to go up and go to the next spot. It just does.
Yeah.
I'm just looking across the board for positions that are coming in. Obviously, you're bringing in corners and linebackers. Like, I would be interested to see
Jordan
Allen does, Kylan Jackson, like Bernard Causey. Like, I know
those are the big names that when they that first recruiting class that came in, like, we need this guy.
Right.
Hadn't really panned out yet.
Yeah, so Xavier Atkins is also on that list of guys that didn't really.
I think
play.
Xavier Atkins got enough playing time this year as a freshman to like warrant him staying.
I know. I'm just speculating. I'm just looking at like some of the names on here where you're like, I could see that
the rumor is you're going to see some guys that you're not expecting to see in the portal,
right,
and you're going to see some guys that we get in the portal that you're pleasantly surprised that we're getting.
Sage Ryan can come back. So can Jordan Gilbert. Feels like Sage Ryan's been here forever.
Jacoby Matthews.
He's still out there.
That's the one that's out there, right?
Didn't play this year, and
can he sign?
Well, yeah.
Can he technically sign on signing day, or is it?
No, it's a transfer portal, because he was
So let me ask
somebody
you this.
that hit the portal, but because he hit it so late, he was not able to sign inside the SEC, so he sat out the year.
let me ask you this: where did he sit out? Like
He didn't play.
I know. Was he in school?
I don't know.
Like, was he at A&M just going to school and training?
Look at me. I don't know how that thing goes.
I don't know how it works
Look at
either.
me.
But obviously, that was somebody that was LSU was very high on his list as a player that LSU was interested in. He was interested in LSU, and it was part of that Texas A&M class where they dropped a bag, and he ended up at Texas A&M, and then he sat out a year because he hit the transfer portal, but he couldn't transfer within the conference. So it makes me think he wants to go, obviously, SEC. If he was that high in LSU, that would be somebody that LSU would welcome with open arms.
No doubt. Because he had a good freshman year.
He did. He's a good player.
Seems like A&M is just a perennial 8-4 team. Does it not? Doesn't matter who the coach is there. Doesn't matter how much money you spend.
I don't know, Coach. I think what they got going on now may be scary going forward.
I know, but it's just like, they get opportunities and then they fumble the opportunities.
Got to remember, this is year one there right now.
No, I get
This
it.
is year one of that
I do 100% get it.
He just, God damn it, he's looking ahead to Texas. Auburn. Texas, both of them. Damn it.
Yeah, that was tough. That's a tough end to the season. The Auburn game was.
That wasn't
good.
You're gambling, man.
That wasn't good.
There's one that was staring you in the face after that.
Yeah, that wasn't good. But it's gonna be. Look, we'll know more on Wednesday. We'll have be a big Wednesday show. Signing day will be over. The first day of signing day. Why is it 3 days? Don't most people just give it in on the first day?
You would think. It's now signing days. Yeah, I don't know. That's the new thing now, man. That the whole recruiting process has become much more intricate than it ever was, and there's so much more going on. Obviously, with the multiple commit days, signing days, all this stuff, the portal, and all, it's become a beast of its own now. So who knows?
Yeah. How about Florida State getting Gus Malzahn as their OC?
Gus said,
Gus said, I'm done with the head coach thing.
Yeah, I'm not. No. He said, I'm done with the recruiting game, bro. I'm an X and O's guy, and I'm a leader and teacher of men.
Yeah.
Let me go do that. I'm
not
the
I'll go recruit.
Yeah.
I'll go recruit. You deal with the money stuff on the side. Let me just tell me how much I got to go get a guy.
And how about Stanford saying, hey, let's hire a GM. Let's call
Andrew
him
Luck.
Andrew Luck. That's going to be interesting to watch, man, because I can tell you what right now.
LSU's got one. Austin Thomas is the GM here.
Nah, this is the different situation.
Why?
Because he's going to be very involved with like legit football decisions, with maybe some stuff. I can tell you right now, these SEC coaches, they're not relinquishing roster deals or I say roster and situations and who they're signing and who's going. And,
is that what he's doing there?
he's doing a lot of that.
Is that what Andrew Luck's
he's
role
doing
is?
a lot. He's going to be doing a lot of that stuff. So that's going to be an interesting deal to watch because I would imagine there will be schools around the country who will follow suit. I just don't know how many of them will be SEC schools in the terms of what that GM is allowed to do and how much he has to do with the structure of the roster and how they make up stuff and maybe even some football stuff.
Yeah.
Got to imagine Andrew Luck's probably not just sitting up there in the ivory tower when it comes to being at Stanford. Like he's going to be helping.
And he's a super smart guy.
Right.
So
exactly.
he's gonna be they're gonna use his brain.
Yeah.
To do some different things.
So that should be interesting to watch that too.
What are you looking up over there?
Trying to find out where Jacoby Matthews is. Somebody says he's at BRCC, which would be good.
I think that's not true.
That's what I'm saying. I was like, where'd you hear that? But apparently he was trying to get. They're saying he needed to get his grades up. Like, I don't think that anybody pays attention to that anymore.
And he's going to BRCC to do that.
Hey, it's not a hard school to get your grades up.
True. I mean, I'd imagine he probably had to take some classes.
I mean, you got to do something.
You can't just can't sit out of college and then go back to school and say, hey, well, I'm back. Well, you didn't have a whole year if you didn't do anything.
I'm a junior.
Where are your classes? So
took a gap year, dude. People do it all the time.
I'm sure there's ways to find it. I have no idea where he's at. But it'll be interesting rest of the week. All right, college football playoff. Obviously, the rankings come out tomorrow. Do we have a team that, you look at and you're like, damn, this team... This team's going to win it.
No.
I can't.
It's crazy how no one still looks at Oregon as that.
I don't.
I know.
Isn't that crazy? No, I don't.
That was the first team
people know they're really good, but no one's looking at them like, yeah, I don't think they're beatable. I'm like, no one's looking at them like that.
Yeah.
I don't really think that there's a team that's that solid right now that you just know for sure.
Why is that, you think? Is it parity of football, or is it just one of those years?
No, it's parity.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think that's
the
it.
portal and the way things are now has really brought, like, none of these teams are super, not top heavy. None of these teams have the depth they used to have, or these powerhouses
That's-
have the
that's a
depth
good
they used to
point.
have. You're no longer 2 and maybe 3 players deep at every position, because those guys, that 5-star that's 3 deep, he no longer wants to sit. He wants to go play somewhere
Yeah,
else.
you no
And you have that
longer have the
opportunity.
2011 LSU
Yeah,
Alabama
exactly.
defense.
Like, where I don't know who else is on the depth chart right now, but and I'm not saying that they competed, if you will. I won't say competed. I'm not saying that they were ever in this conversation, but where's Kentucky without Brock Vandagriff this year? Probably not in some of the games that they were. Probably didn't beat some of the teams that they beat. But guess what? If there's no NIL and no transfer portal, he's still backing up Carson Beck right now.
Right, and that's a good point because Kentucky's not a powerhouse.
No, but
they
beat some teams.
They beat Tennessee.
They played some teams tougher than they should have played them.
Tennessee has 2 losses, huh?
Yeah.
So they're one of Tennessee's
But
2 losses.
that's my point. Is like, where are they if they don't have him this year?
They beat Ole Miss, not Tennessee.
Yeah, Ole Miss. But
Ole Miss,
but
that's
so
right,
like
right.
that's the you got to
Arkansas
remember
beat Tennessee.
that's the situation that they're in. Like, or I won't say they're in. That's the situation that everyone's in around the country. Is these guys who are super talented? They're no longer sitting on the bench, if you will. They're gonna go play somewhere else. So when they're playing somewhere else, it makes a lot of teams better. It just does, and it makes for more parity.
No doubt.
You can't stockpile like that anymore. That's over.
Man, part of me just wants to say I do believe Georgia's going to be there at the end somehow. But
I mean, do you think they have to beat Texas to get in?
no.
No,
I think they're in.
They have to beat Texas to host, or I won't say
Oh, yeah.
to get the thing, but no, not to host, to get the bye. I think if they lose, they're going on the road to play somebody. I don't even think they're going to be I don't think they're going to be one of the hosting sites.
I would love to see Georgia.
They have 2 losses still, right?
Yeah,
I think-
10-2.
Yeah, Tennessee.
So they're in. They'll be in.
No, they're 100% in. Yeah, that's not even a question.
I'd love to see Georgia play Penn State. At Penn State, that's the other conversation that's happening because now everybody thought it would be teams coming down to the big, bad SEC and coming to your stadium, and now it's you all have to go play in the cold weather.
But here's the deal, though. Penn State has a potential to be a top 4 seed. So if they go and win the Big Ten, they're bye, so they don't get a game.
Right.
So, that's another position where maybe an SEC team can say, okay, well now Penn State's there. They beat Oregon. Oregon will be probably the 5 seed. I don't know.
Maybe. They might drop them to the 6 because of how Notre Dame has finished the season and they feel like they probably should get a home game.
But either way, then that means you got 7 and 8. Yeah.
Notre
7 and
Dame.
8.
Yeah, Notre Dame can't be any higher
Than 5.
Than 5.
It almost feels like that's exactly what they're
yeah,
put them.
because
Yeah.
they,
It seems like Tennessee will be host a game. Tennessee will be a top 8 seed. Right? Because they're done. They have 2 losses in the SEC. Feels like they're going to be a top 8 team.
Notre Dame's whatever athletic director or whatever he does was a part of the college football playoff committee, and he saw this coming about. He's the one that put all these rules in place for Notre Dame. He's like, actually, the 5th seed is going to be awesome.
And it can be great.
That's what I'm
and
saying.
I understand.
He hoodwinked a bunch of people that aren't, as smart as Mr. Notre Dame.
I know the committee can't do this, but if they were smart and if they wanted to make this as entertaining as they possibly can, let's not have Big Ten matchups in the first round and SEC matchups. Let's have SEC versus Big Ten matchups.
I think they're doing their best.
They have to do that,
to
right?
put that together.
You can't say, "Oh, let's just knock all the best teams out because they're playing. Let's have another conference game." That's you're not going to get the right matchups there.
This is per CBS Sports, and this does look very entertaining. Obviously, the first 4, they have Oregon Big Ten champ, Texas 2 SEC champ, ACC champ SMU, Boise State Group of 5 champ. The first round playoff games would be 5 Notre Dame versus number 12 Arizona State in South Bend, Penn State versus number 11 Alabama at Penn State, Georgia versus number 10 Indiana
Yes.
in Georgia.
Yep.
Ohio State versus number 9 Tennessee.
Oh,
and,
so Ohio State
and
would
Ohio
get that home
State.
game.
And so that would be your first round games.
So Boise's not in there?
Boise is in. They're a Group of 5 champion. They don't have to. They'll be the 4 seed.
4 seed?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, because they'd be the highest.
They'd be the highest
ranked
ranked
conference champ.
champion. Yeah. Yep.
Because Arizona State's the conference champ, but they're not ranked as high as Boise. What is their ranking?
What do you mean?
Actually, that's going to be interesting to see tomorrow. Where do they rank Arizona State compared to Boise State?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's going to be a huge difference in the seeding, right? Arizona State's beating some big teams at the end of the year. They're projected to be dead last in the Big 12.
It's crazy.
That's wild.
Their coach is like 33 years old.
You see what he did with his bonus?
I didn't know what you were about to say. No, I saw I saw him stick the trident in the field.
So he winning 9 games, he had a $200,000 bonus. That was in his contract. He called, without letting anybody know, he called all of the off-field staff.
Oh, nice.
And he told it was like 20 of them. He told every single one of them they were going to get between $5,000 and $10,000 bonuses at the end of the year. They didn't know that he was just giving them his $200,000 bonus.
Oh.
So that was pretty awesome by him.
Yep.
He went off. Was it off on the refs, right? On that 1 second that was BYU. When they try to do that wild way to end the game. Did you see that?
Yes.
Like, let's just run backwards 4 straight times, and then on 4th down, let's throw a Hail Mary up in the end zone or up in the air for 5 seconds.
For the 5 seconds, yeah. Just run the clock out like that with the ball in the air.
Like NCAA stuff. Like, that's what I used to do in NCAA.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to go run back.
Yeah, it's like remember when Sunbelt Billy, whenever he took a safety intentionally at UL, he like snapped it and he ran out the back of the end zone to try to waste time, and then it just all hell broke loose, and they still won. But it was just like, this is not
it's
the
just
right
when you
way
do
to
stuff
handle.
like that, it's like
you're overthinking it, coach.
Yeah. But yeah, that's a really good story. But like, it's going to be interesting to see where they rank them, because Boise State or Arizona State is going to get a top 4 seed, which is wild. Because the fact that Boise State may get a bye is crazy.
Now somebody's got to win the Group of 5. Tulane was in that conversation if they wouldn't have lost.
No doubt. But
doesn't really matter. That's a Group of 5. It's just,
exactly. It's the highest ranked.
Yeah, highest rank. Yeah, like
it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Group of 5. Everybody thought there was going to be a 12 seed.
If the SEC had the conference champion be ranked 11th in the country, then they would probably not be a host. Like, because you probably would have 4 teams ranked.
Well, it's like if A&M would have beaten Texas, and then gotten to the championship game and beaten Georgia, they wouldn't have been a top 4 team.
Yeah.
You know, they would have been 8-3. SEC would have may have been a top 10 team, but they wouldn't have gotten a bye.
It's very possible they wouldn't have. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I thought if you won your conference championship, you automatically got a bye.
It's the top 4 highest ranked
conference
Champions.
They never specified Power 5 conference champion. They said conference champion. So, you know, Oregon, like Big Ten's going to have, because based off their rankings, you would assume that the SEC would do it, but the way the SEC played itself out, like now maybe, but
yeah,
you know, if Georgia loses, well, actually, Texas is there. So like Georgia, Texas is gonna be a top 4 seed.
Yeah.
If Georgia beats Texas, they'll probably be in the top 4.
Yep.
No doubt. Man, still kind of crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just more confusing than ever.
Here's another. We're bouncing all around, but this just popped up on my Twitter. So remember when Joe Burrow got crackback blocked?
Code 45.
Yeah, crackback blocked against UCF. It was on the ground. The guy was like staying on top of him, and they used that as like a rallying cry. And the next year he just balled out. It was the last game of the season. Could this potentially be the same thing for Nusmeier? After Nusmeier gets blindsided by the deep, which was bad on Will Campbell. Like, I mean, obviously he hasn't missed many blocks. He didn't touch him. That guy beat him off the line. And look, Will Campbell's gonna be a top 5 pick, and I would not want to say this to his face because he'd eat me. But like, the guy just beat him, right? So I'm sure. I mean, obviously he felt terrible. Nuss gets hammered. The guy kind of like stands over him a little bit, and then goes in the locker room, comes back out, and then he goes 12 of 16 for 190 yards and 2 touchdowns and
With
two
some
big
bombs.
and 2 big rushing first downs.
Yeah.
So maybe going forward. But anyway, back to the college football conversation. I don't think there. If you had to pick right now, who do you think wins it?
Wins it all right now.
Yep.
Woo! People are going to hate this one. If I said it right now.
Like, do you believe that they can do it on the road?
That's the question to be seen right
Yeah.
there. I think that's the one equalizer when you got to go up and play in freezing temperatures and you can't run around the way you're used to and utilize the speed and or get as loose or just it's an uncomfortable situation because those guys are not used to doing that. So that will be very interesting to see if these SEC schools got to go up to Big Ten country and play outside in this weather and see how those games go. That's the unknown for me at this point. But I do think if they're able to to go into Atlanta and play in this game and play well and somehow find a win, I don't really see somebody beating them in that playoff type of situation, especially when they don't have to play the extra games as well.
Yeah. What you think?
Jacoby Matthews just followed us on Twitter.
Like just now?
Yeah.
Is he listening
Maybe
to
he's
us?
listening to us. Jacoby, where you at, dog?
Let's go.
You want
You want to come on the show?
Hop in
Call
the
it.
chat.
Anybody want to announce your commitment on the show? Or what?
That's funny.
That's
I mean,
awesome.
McAfee's been getting these guys to do it on his show. Why don't you just come on our show and
Yeah,
do
it's
it?
FaceTime.
We got you. We got technology to make it happen.
Yeah, send me a link.
I'm glad he's listening to us. Appreciate you. Big fan, dog.
Yeah, huge fan.
Love to see you in the purple and gold.
Come on home.
We need a safety.
Yeah.
You know where you want to be.
Yeah, listen.
You
This
know
this is
where you
home.
want to be.
This is home for you. Who do you think's gonna win? If you had to pick right now, who do you think's gonna win the playoff?
Well, you already gave yours, so you might as well say why.
I think Georgia.
I know. You might as well say why. Then.
Because they just, to me, out of all the teams there, they've been in this situation, right? Obviously, nobody's played the 12-team playoff before, but they've been in championship situations. They've gone through the gauntlet of the SEC, and they've been battle-tested, and I just feel like, they are probably the most prepared to win and make that run.
Sidebar too, Lloyd, before you actually give yours, is I do think when you go on runs like this, whether or not you actually have the same personnel or not, a lot of these guys have been in the program. And a lot of these guys have seen what these big games feel like. And a lot of these guys, whether you want to believe it or not, they get bored until they're able to get back to these big games.
Yeah.
So I do think like some of that is kind of happening in the program, whether you like it, love it, hate it, call it an excuse. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I do think that possibly happens.
Sidebar. If you're betting and you want to live bet on this football game, Jerry Jeudy came from the Broncos, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jerry Jeudy and Sean Payton don't really like each other. Sean Payton kind of came out and like vocally, Jerry Jeudy, first play of the game, 30, 40-yard gain. Maybe bet Jerry Jeudy scored first touchdown. Just feel like they're going to try to feed him the rock.
Oh, he's on the Browns
He's
now?
on the Browns now. Sidebar. Anyway. Yeah.
Jacoby Matthews tweeted November 30th. Should look a little different with Matthews in the secondary. LOL, see y'all soon. Delayed, never denied. I love this guy.
It's my birthday. Thanks for the birthday present.
Thanksgiving. I don't know who was playing. But
That wasn't Thanksgiving. November 30th was Saturday.
Saturday.
Yeah.
So who you got, Lloyd?
Oregon.
Oh, you like them. You're buying into the Ducks.
Yeah, I am. I'm on the Dan Lanning hype train. I feel like they got close last year after he has this team bought in. All the things that he's doing is very much a young, motivated head coach move, and it seems to be resonating with the team, whether it be the Gladiator thing, what he did against Wisconsin when they were losing, and Jump Around comes on and they played it all week. And they're like, well, no, when that song comes on, we're going to go crazy. And like they're buying into whatever Dan Lanning's saying, and I feel like that goes a long way, and they have a quarterback that was basically kicked out of his own college at Oklahoma after he guided them to 10 wins, and now he's at Oregon where he's doing the exact same thing.
Was he kicked out?
Oh, yeah, they told him to walk.
Did they?
Yeah, because they wanted to start freshman because they thought he was going to leave, so they got scared.
Jackson Arnold?
Yeah. And so they were like, well, we're going to take the potential over what we have, and I think it's kind of a Dylan Gabriel revenge tour.
I'm not sold on Dylan Gabriel yet. And that may be because I haven't spent a lot of time watching him play. But I don't know. All right, I like that pick. I think if Georgia has to go up north, they may be in trouble.
think a lot of the SEC schools
No
may
doubt.
be in trouble.
I
in
just
that
don't believe.
situation.
I don't believe.
Dylan Gabriel with 3,200 yards, 24 touchdowns, 6 picks.
Yeah.
He's playing well.
Solid.
And he runs a little bit.
Yeah, he does.
He just doesn't do anything that like blows you away.
No, right.
Which
He's
is
just
why
he's
it's
a
not.
great college quarterback. I
Yeah.
don't think he's gonna play in the NFL, but he's a great college quarterback. It's gonna be interesting. I mean, anybody can win it. I mean, if Boise State, if their running back just decides, hey, I'm just gonna show you, I'm gonna run for 300. If he's that good, I'm gonna run for 300 yards. Like, they can ruin some people's season.
These, I'm gonna tell you what, man. These.
Now they gotta play UNLV. UNLV's a really good story too.
Tell
That quarterback,
UNLV.
that whole deal, that
Tell
whole deal with
UNLV.
the quarterback coming back. Like, oh yeah, they pay me. He's gone. Backup quarterback's better than you anyway.
I'm like looking past this week because I truly want to see these home damn playoff
Yeah, me
games
too.
in college football. I think that atmosphere, what's going to happen in those games is going to be electric. And whether you're present literally for the game or you're watching it on TV, I think you'll feel it. I want to see that. I can't wait to see that.
I mean, the environment for Texas A&M, Texas. Like Texas A&M is, as much shit as they get, which is all deserved.
Yeah.
That place was on 10, and then to go out and score 0 points offensively was pretty much a bummer.
Yeah.
But that intro that they have, well, I was like, damn, this place is rocking. I would love for that to be LSU for a whole. I guess you got one. Ole Miss felt about as good as it can feel. Alabama didn't really get there for some reason. It
because
felt,
we never were in it.
no, I'm saying even before the game, it felt a little bit odd.
Rain, I think the rain.
Yeah,
hurt.
just a weird day.
Yeah.
But like the Ole Miss environment that LSU had is something that I don't think many colleges can duplicate. So if LSU were to ever host
Yeah.
a playoff game, I think
be
that would be
amazing.
something that would turn a lot of eyeballs. Like, holy shit, nobody's lying about LSU.
The Browns are where kickers go to die, huh?
Yeah.
This Hopkins guy is good.
Cade York they drafted him in the 3rd round.
Yeah, now he's not kicking.
He's not kicking anywhere. But McAfee's talked a lot about kicking in that stadium where it's just
it's
it's nearly
impossible.
it's nearly impossible.
Yeah. All right. You want to get to the Seggies?
Well, before you get to the seconds, you got to mention the Saints who are possibly
Oh yeah. They're dead.
possibly dead at this point.
No,
And
they're
then
dead.
I think they're
obviously-
eliminated.
And
They
then
are?
obviously you have the Taysom Hill
Officially?
injury, which kind of hurts. And still nobody ever even mentioned
His
Taysom's age. It's crazy.
Now they may start mentioning it in the offseason when he's recovering.
Right.
Oh, 4th ACL or 3rd ACL injury he's had. He's also 35. People probably don't even realize he's 35. Honestly.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh wait, he's 35? Yeah, he went on a Mormon mission, the whole deal. So like he's a little older. Saints are dead in the water. I love what Rizzy's done. I love the energy. At least they made it entertaining. They're playing with wide receivers that weren't even on the team to start the season. I'm not making excuses. They weren't very good. You can't lose 7 straight games and expect to go out and win 8 straight to end the season. It just doesn't really work that way.
Tough to do that in the National Football League.
Yeah, it doesn't really work that way. I mean, it's, it would have been a really cool story. But now let's just see where they position themselves for the draft and see what happens as far as the coaching situation goes and what Rizzy does. If they keep Rizzy, I don't think they're going to keep him as a head coach. I like him. I'd like to keep him on the team. Special teams have been really good. But it's going to be all dependent upon who they bring in as a head coach. And look, here's the deal. Falcons are choking it away too. So had the Saints won and they'd have been 5-7, they'd have been 1 game back.
Right.
Really 2 games back because they
Yeah.
got to beat the Bucks.
Yeah.
But yep, they had an opportunity and fumbled it too.
And he was open. What's his name? The quarterback, Carr, had just a second more time. He'd been able to find somebody in the back of the end zone to tie that thing up.
Oh yeah, I know. But he didn't get rid of it in time.
He didn't.
I mean, he didn't know. He had to wait for him to get open. He wasn't
Right.
open.
It was just very close to actually, like, the Saints are going on this kind of crazy run with Rizzy where they almost won.
You think they would have gone for 2?
I think he would have, yeah.
I think he would have too.
Possible.
I think if they'd have scored, I think they would have gone for 2. All
I
right.
think they're eliminated from playoff contention, and if they would have been able to win with the
Are they, though?
with the losses in the conference, I'm pretty sure I saw like a graphic, but it could have just been Twitter.
I mean, what
Twittering.
if? I mean, the Falcons are 6-6, and the Bucks are
I think it's the tiebreaker scenarios.
Right, but what if they lose the rest of their games?
I don't know.
And the Saints go 9-8. I don't think that's gonna happen either, but
But it was fun. It was
was
more
fun.
fun with Rizzi than Dennis Allen, that's for sure.
absolutely.
And there's still signs of life. I don't know who. Obviously, there's like coaches out there that you would want to get. I don't know if those coaches are interested in coming into New Orleans because of the situation, but I think Rizzi would be a fun kind of experiment to like kind of help rebuild it. You don't have to.
We've done this already, though.
I think you're in so much of a cap hell, you're not really looking for experiments. Like, obviously, you need to win, and I think they're trying to find a way to say, hey, how can we you're pretty much in rebuild mode, but how can we turn this around? And I don't think you turn it around by experimenting, because that may push you back a little bit more.
Right.
So I do think they're going to go out, obviously not think, it's a no. They're going to go out aggressively and try to find the best option possible.
Who wants to come there?
I'm not sure that you stick with the interim coach.
I agree.
And the history of it doesn't really show for interim coaches to be great.
And look, I would love for him to be on the team, right? And like maybe
on the team, like right?
I mean, be part of the team, but maybe the new head coach keeps him on, because he is one of the better special teams guys in all of the NFL.
Right.
So it's not like he's just there.
He's a very well known, very well respected special teams
absolutely.
coach, and what he's done in that spot.
All right, let's get to the seggies.
Do you think that LSU takes the quarterback in the portal?
Yes. No. Well, I don't know. I mean, if AJ and Swan can come back, you have 3 on your roster. Why do you need?
No, I'm thinking if they go like a different direction.
With him?
Like, what do you mean different direction?
Like somebody that if they want to do like if they bring one in that would make
you want to have someone a different
skill set. That's what I'm wondering if they do, because AJ Swan was obvious like don't lose the game for us if you have to play. Like, I don't think he was ever a serious contender to start. And I think if Nuss comes back, that's why I'm interested to see what they do in the portal, because Liberty quarterback Caden Salter just entered.
He ain't coming to LSU.
Well, here's the thing. I'm not going to sit here and say that there's not a chance.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, I'm not going to say there's not a chance that you don't flirt with the idea of grabbing a quarterback in the portal. But the problem is, whatever you freed up from the Bryce Underwood situation and whatever you may have on top of that ready for anybody else, it needs to go. Well, it needs to go to people that's going to be a direct impact to your team this year.
Right.
And if you're going to have Nusmeier on the team, it's hard to send that to someone who may be sitting on the bench behind who's already your quarterback. So that's the only problem in that situation. And all of those quarterbacks in the portal who are going to be impact players, they're going to cost you, coach.
Yeah, that Liberty quarterback. That Liberty quarterback's going to be expensive. He's going to go to a big team, a Power 5 team probably next year. He'll be a starter. The Tulane quarterback's going to get a lot of opportunity too. That guy was a baller this year.
Yeah, he's a freshman too, so you get him for
freshman, right? So
he's going to get one more year.
Huh?
Get him for one more year.
At least one more year.
Yeah.
But he's going to get an opportunity probably to go somewhere else. Tulane's a rich school though.
Oh yeah.
And Tulane's been winning games, and Tulane has a proud, honestly, believe it or not, proud football history.
Mm-hmm.
So, maybe they can dish him out some money and keep him there. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't think LSU's not going to be able to go get a top end quarterback in the portal, especially if Nusmeier comes back.
Right. That's what I was just.
And look, I think you have a guy with a different skill set in Colin Hurley.
Yeah, he can run a little bit.
You know what I mean? Like, and look, maybe Nuss proved himself the last game. Like, hey, I don't have to run a lot, just a little bit. Just a little bit.
I just said because it's interesting because CJ Daniels, if he comes back, this is the quarterback he played with at Liberty. There's clearly conversations with that team at some point, so they have some sort of relationship to them. And the coach hates LSU though. He's very salty about the CJ Daniels situation.
Who?
The coach at Liberty.
How do you know this?
There's an article written about it. He came out and said all sorts of slander about LSU that wasn't even true.
I mean,
because we had CJ Daniels on the morning show, and he's like, "That's not what happened."
Like, hey, bro, like this guy was either coming to our school or someone else.
He's not staying at Liberty. Yeah,
like, deal with it.
So LSU paid him also like this crazy amount. He was like, "No, I wanted to go play. Like I wanted to step up in competition. I'm sorry, Chadwell." Now you're
I like him, man. I think he's got potential to be better than he was this year.
I can't believe he didn't score a touchdown this year.
Right?
He played.
He did.
No,
but then Kyron Lacey ruined it for him.
Kyron Lacey's done that twice.
I do think that the injuries for CJ this year kind of derailed him from being able to kind
I
of
think he's a baller.
assert himself into it and kind of take over some of that spot.
No
I
doubt.
think the in and out kind of hurt him from being able to go. And not necessarily in his play, but maybe from how the coaches viewed what he was going to be able to do for the team this year. I do think if he's back another year, I would expect a big jump simply because if he's healthy, I think he's a better player than what people kind of saw this year.
And I think he's more.
Or what people didn't think. People
Right.
think they saw.
I think he's more explosive than what he showed this year.
Yeah.
Right? Like, he wasn't going to drop anything. Right? He made some tough catches.
Yeah.
He was a guy you got to have. But he was explosive at Liberty. Like, he would make guys miss. He scored a bunch of touchdowns. He had yards after the catch. He didn't really show that this year, but I think a lot of that had to do with the injuries.
Yeah, for sure.
But he showed the great ability to catch balls in traffic.
And Brian Kelly came out and said, like, I don't think people realize how much he's fought to continue to be on the field.
Which I respect.
Me too.
You need that, right? That's why I like him. That's why I like Kyle Parker. That's why I like those guys that, battle through this shit to get on there. It shows a lot, to the guys on the team, to everybody that you're playing with. Like, it shows, hey, this shit matters to me.
Ben Mintz as the mistake of the day as he was got himself in quite a pickle, Dick. But I forgot about these 6 golfers. Have you seen the story that?
Oh, the fight.
That
try to jump.
Paul Bissonnette,
Biz.
a former, he played hockey for
Enforcer.
10. Yeah,
He was an enforcer.
He played hockey for 10 years and with Chuck Nucks, and
they didn't try to fight him initially.
No.
It was a waitress, right? Or a waiter.
Yeah, no, it was like this restaurant he always goes to all the time, and Houston's, and he's like, it's a nice family establishment. But these guys were all blackout drunk after playing golf, and they're trying to get drinks at a place where they don't serve drinks. Like, you have to go to a certain part of the restaurant. So they start getting in the manager's face, and Biz goes there all the time, and he was like, they keep doing this. Like, I'm gonna have, he's a small guy. He's like, and they're ganging up on the manager, and he's like, hold on. So he gets up, gets in their face, and is like, hey, if you're gonna keep doing this, we're gonna have a problem. And then so they swings on 6 guys after he gets sucker punched.
Yeah, he said he ate a few punches.
He goes, took a few punches through more. But it ends up that these guys that he was fighting, like the plot thickens where they're, I don't even know if you could say this, but because I'm Irish, but it feels like an insult. Like, they're Irish travelers where they go around doing construction work. And they do super.
They're from Ireland?
No, but that's the net. Like, they do
okay.
super shoddy work all around the country, and that's how they fund all their businesses. They charge an enormous amount of, and obviously Barstool has an enormous following, and they find out everything about these people. So not only did they get their shit kicked in by one guy, they picked the wrong guy to try to fight. And now their entire business has gone up in smoke where they were funding.
In jail.
They were funding trips to Pebble Beach and going to all these cool places because they had money to do it. And everybody knows who they are, so their whole life has been turned upside down.
For them.
Good, I'm glad.
See you.
I thought you were gonna do. There's a couple mistakes of the day that I saw. One of them was Josh Allen got engaged.
Oh, right? I almost picked that one too.
Josh Allen's ex-girlfriend, high school sweetheart,
Oh Lord,
comes out and basically says that. Super jealous post.
Oh boy.
They had broken up. I think he's been dating this girl for a year and then gets engaged to her. But he had dated his high school sweetheart for 6 years. They broke up. She says, "Oh, that's okay. I don't date brain dead football players with CTE. I just date owners of football teams."
Oh, good God.
And said all this kind of stuff and was bad look on her. And then
that backfired.
And then she deleted the post.
Of course.
No. She got hacked.
And said she got hacked.
That backfired.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Dude, you gotta go read it.
What?
You gotta go read the post. It's pretty embarrassing.
Yeah, no, you pretty much got it spot on.
Is she dating an owner, by the way?
I don't know who she's
I don't
dating.
think so.
They're not. There's probably an age discrepancy there.
And I don't think that she's high profile enough to be dating a billionaire.
Maybe so.
But now he's dating Haley Steinfeld, or proposed to her. I don't know who she is, but apparently she's famous.
Yeah.
So good for him. Good for Josh. Josh seems like a very likable guy.
I like Josh.
Me too. I feel like he'd be fun.
I don't really know him that well. I don't know him at all.
No.
Know him from what I see on TV.
But it sounds like he did. It sounds like he got the better of this situation. So, I mean, he's a little bit oafish, but I wouldn't call him brain dead. And he might be MVP.
I don't know if he's oafish. I wouldn't call him oafish.
I mean, he has pretty funny commercials. He's good. He's just a funny guy. God forbid.
I think he's just a normal dude, and he's funny and doesn't take shit too seriously.
Yeah.
Brain dead.
It's hard to be brain dead and oaf when you're running a high
It's hard to be
high
a quarterback
octane
in the.
offense.
It's
Yeah,
hard to be.
right.
I don't care if it's the worst offense in
Right.
the league.
It's hard to be brain dead being offense. be a quarterback.
Yeah, I
in the
don't know.
NFL.
I don't really subscribe to that one. I'm not on that one.
That's a jealousy post.
Yeah,
He got. Did you see that play where he threw almost a touchdown pass? The guy's getting tackled. He pitches it back to Josh Allen. He scored.
So, that's recorded as a touchdown pass and a reception for him.
No. A touchdown pass and
a rush.
A catch. Touchdown catch.
No, and a receiving touchdown.
That's what I mean.
But he doesn't get an actual catch for it, I believe. It's
Oh,
something
really?
weird that went on in that, like, some kind of way.
But so that play,
I have actually had Ben Mintz pulled up of him talking about it, where he apologizes, but then quickly stops apologizing and kind of. But anyway, so Ben Mintz was a part of the Barstool Challenge, where you had to pick a touchdown, like Survivor style pool, where whoever went the longest of picking a touchdown score every week
Right.
would be eligible for a $25,000 free bet the next week. So he goes, I guess we're 10 weeks in, 11 weeks in, 11 straight weeks he's picked a prop where there's been a player that he picked that scored a touchdown in the NFL. He was the last remaining survivor, so he gets a $25,000 free bet. The only requirement is him to show up on the stream, and then they watch the game that he bet on, as it would be, entertaining to see somebody with $25,000 on the line be able to win money. Ben Mintz decides, in all of his infinite wisdom, that on the probably one of the more, higher traffic traveling days of the year, he has a 7:15 flight. He gets to the airport at 6:45 and thought that he was going to be able to get checked in and make it through his flight. And he goes, everybody's having problems traveling today. It's not just me. Like,
it's the
Mitch,
busiest travel day of the year.
Yeah, you got here 30 minutes before your flight. Like, nobody does that.
Where's he live, by the way, too?
is it New Orleans?
He lives in Chicago.
Is it Chicago?
Yeah, he's on the Chicago.
Could you
bar-
imagine showing up to one of the Chicago airports thinking I'm going to get in there 30 minutes before?
Yeah, that's where he's trying to fly into. I don't even know where he was.
Oh, he doesn't,
but yeah.
he doesn't live in Chicago.
I don't know where he was before. I think I guess he's from Mississippi, so I don't know if he went home for Thanksgiving. But he tried to get back to Chicago in time, and
You've been cutting it close in Baton Rouge at 30 minutes before.
No, it's insane. And
Not like on a regular Tuesday, too.
And he said the clear pass didn't work. They didn't have clear or whatever that is. He can go straight through. So he got stuck in TSA with everybody else, and he absolutely missed his flight. Couldn't find a connecting flight. I think he got home at like 9 p.m. But while this is going on, Dan Katz, Big Cat, who's in charge of it, it's like, fuck it, Mitch, don't even come. It doesn't matter now. I gave your $25,000 bet to all the people that work, like all the producers and everybody behind the scenes. Like, you don't even have to worry about it anymore. And so he's like, oh, man, I can't believe I did this to myself again. Because he always does something. Like, we literally had him, we talk to him every Friday. He does picks for Colada.
How are his picks?
Good. He's been actually on a heater, like all year. But
4-heater, though? No,
yeah, but But he was saying, like, everything in he's like, life is going great for me. I don't understand what's going on. He goes, but in typical me fashion, like, I will find a way to fuck this up. And it's.
All right, curtain call brought to you by our friends at Perkins and McKenzie. What you got, Lloyd? Stay with you.
Oh, curtain call 2. Mine is all of college football from the rivalry week. I didn't even know that whatever they build Georgia Tech, Georgia is, like a bucket full of hate or whatever. I didn't even know that was called that. I thought they made that up. And I was like, no, these two teams like really don't like each other. But from that to what happened at Michigan, Ohio State, Arizona State, and
Florida State.
Arizona, Florida State, all of these teams fought each other at like the 50-yard line. And I just thought it was an epic display of why college football deserves more credit for what it is, because God damn it, these boys care. And I just thought it was awesome to be able to see. And shout out to the Arizona State mascot, Chuck and Nux. Beat up that cougar.
It was both of them, wasn't
And
it?
the
they are both.
The shoes were laughing at him.
Yeah,
Like,
I thought this was serious.
Yeah.
They were throwing hands. So I just
Can't mascots not talk? Like what could possibly have happened to where they threw that hard?
just got beef, dog.
But like, then you got a big padding on your face. Like, are you really hitting them?
No.
You know what I mean?
If you hit the nose, you miss the actual real face
Yeah.
probably by about a good
Yeah, right.
6 to 12 inches.
But you can maybe get the jaw.
Maybe.
Yeah, if you get it right.
But means you got to really get back there
You
now.
gotta get underneath the nose. You gotta get
Like,
around
you're
it.
losing a lot of. You got to really get back there now.
No doubt. What you got?
I'm gonna stay on the same topic right now. Lloyd, I sent you the video. You have the video in your email, but I'm staying on the topic of college football because what Gus Johnson did. Now look, over the past year, maybe 2 years, Probably 2 years is probably more accurate for me. We all know like there hasn't been that many big noon and or we're in Central Time Zone 11 a.m. games that have been really good games because that just wasn't really a thing but now it's becoming more of a thing with all of these early season games, and they're making these games more of like big time games. So I never really listened or watched those games. I never really paid attention to Gus Johnson before those games. Before the last couple years.
Right.
Listening to Gus in what was the fourth quarter of this game on a red zone interception that was made by, I think, Jack Sawyer maybe of Ohio State.
Definitely his name. That's definitely his name. Captain Jack!
This call is as legendary and as funny as it possibly gets in only true Gus Johnson fashion, and it made me a bigger fan of Gus. I've never heard anything like it.
I've never heard him sound like this either.
Anything like it.
Warren looking, and it's intercepted at the goal line. Unbelievable! Wow, Jack Sawyer, the hero.
Is when he says his name.
Run it back.
Warren looking, and it's intercepted at the goal line. Unbelievable! Wow, Captain Jack Sawyer, the hero. Captain Jack!
That's pure comedy, man. Ain't gonna get any better.
That's great.
That's great.
What a bad throw.
Now look, that'd be different too if that comes and it happens in the first quarter of the game. Be like Gus, go ahead, tone his
But that was his right time.
right time. It was beautiful. I love that.
That was great.
I love that.
Captain Jack! Jack Sawyer!
You may have to refresh the doc. I'll put mine in there. Look, a lot has been made and a lot has been said. You may hate him, you may not. You may love him, you may hate him. Coach Prime, Deion Sanders at Colorado. You don't have to agree with everything he does, but he's turned that program around. It's not even the curtain call is not Colorado. It's to him and how he treats to some of the guys on his team, a lot of the guys on his team. But he has these guys believing in him. He treats them as professionals. He treats them as family. And one of those guys on his team, Jimmy Horn Jr., his dad is in prison. It was senior day, and he didn't have his dad walk him out there on senior day, and so he asked Deion to walk him down on senior day, and I thought that was a pretty cool deal. Obviously, Deion did it, and to me, it just kind of shows you the relationship that he's built with the guys that he has there. Thought that was pretty cool. So
That is awesome.
yeah, shout out to Deion. Also,
This is probably after or before he walked his own kids out there.
and then ran away from his ex-wife.
yeah, he ran. There wasn't.
Did you see that?
I don't even think there was eye contact.
Oh my God, you gotta go look at that.
I don't know the story, like the backstory
I don't
of how
know.
their stuff broke up.
Obviously,
and
it's
whatever.
salty.
Yeah, it ain't good. Let's just
So,
say it's not amicable. at
He's
this
walking both the kids down there, and I guess they're trying to get their mom there too, and they must have not told Deion.
No, I think he knew. I just think it was
I'm walking
wherever
halfway.
it is it ain't amicable, and we're not about to act like it is here.
Yeah,
Because I mean, there's a world where there could have been a acknowledgement, and
Yeah.
there was none.
he took off.
There was none.
Fast
None.
as he ran since he lost his toes.
There
Yeah.
was none.
He wasn't no part of that situation. That's awesome. I'm out of here, dog.
Yep.
I did
Speaking
what I
of
came
get
to
out of
do.
here, let's get out of here. All right. I appreciate y'all. We love y'all. Thanks for tuning in. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you can't watch us, but you like listening to us, or anywhere you get your pods. We'll be back live in studio on Wednesday from 6 to 8 p.m. And it's obviously Wednesday's Ask Mikey and Mitch. Going to try to get some another baseball guy on the show on Wednesday. Talk Wednesday. Obviously talk LSU recruiting. Talk college football playoffs because the rankings come out tomorrow.
Nope.
Out. See ya. Lot to talk about. A lot of fun things. Obviously, recap. Hopefully, an LSU basketball win tomorrow. Hopefully, PMAC is exciting. Should be 8 o'clock game. We love y'all. We appreciate y'all. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. Enjoy Monday Night Football. See you on Wednesday. Peace.